time before this very potent West Forsyth offense wakes up.
Looked like the big bear got on his back somewhere around the 15-yard line. Erdely on the sneak, and it looks like he's going to be in. The official signal is touchdown. West Forsyth have their very first lead of the ball game. But it was all Ty Anderson, 79 yards on the reception down to the 1, and West Forsyth cashes in.
All 6'3", 215 pounds of the big tight end, and he really wanted it, but give West Forsyth credit. They have really turned this game around rather quickly, Kevin, rather quickly.
And Chris, the whole time that Johns Creek pretty much dominated the play in the first half, you never saw a negative body language from the West Forsyth Wolverines. They never got down. They never hung their heads. They know what their team is capable of, and you touched on it. 44 points a game average. They know they can put points on the board, so they were never shaken. They've got this crowd behind them, and now with their first lead of the evening, Hartshorn looks to make it 23, and he does. 6:25 to play in the third quarter. West Forsyth take the lead over the Johns Creek Gladiators, 23-16. And now, for the first time, we will see Johns Creek playing from behind.
Well, 20 unanswered points by the Wolverines, and that all happened in the time span of about, the last 2 minutes of the second quarter and the first half of the third quarter. So in a time span of about eight and a half minutes, the Wolverines strike quickly and take the lead here at homecoming.
It's the first time I've seen two separate huddles on a football field, Chris, by two different units. But that's exactly what's happening there for Johns Creek. Just like the defense in one huddle and the special teams in the other as they break and get set to receive the kick. But I think calling both these offenses quick strike would be an understatement at this point, partner. These guys are absolutely running up and down the field on each other.
What a great atmosphere all of a sudden. That's one of the great things many things I love about being part of a high school football broadcast is the atmosphere. It's great. It's loud. It's a great ball game. We're outside just behind the stands, and everything is really coming together for a great ball game.
And it's homecoming here at West Forsyth. Number 24 on the return. That is going to be Austin Pack. For Johns Creek, he's out to about the 15-yard line, and that's where Sky Overton and that offense will go to work for Johns Creek. Trailing now 23-16. 20 unanswered points by the West Forsyth Wolverines, and all of a sudden it's gut check time for the Gladiators.
Plenty of time left, but definitely momentum swing for the Wolverines.
Sky Overton brings him out. Chase Solomon in the backfield with him. He has been the go-to guy. And they're going to run a toss to Solomon. A very late pitch by Overton. A nice job there. And the defense meets him on the corner at the 18-yard line. Gain of about 4 on the play. Make it 2nd down and 6.
There's about 3 or 4 blue jerseys over there for West Forsyth. One of the key tacklers was number 28, Alex Funderburg.
So let's see how Johns Creek answers the big surge and the big momentum swing here at West Forsyth. They trail now 23-16. Sky Overton and company working out of their own 18-yard line. Going to go option near side. Overton on the keeper, cuts it back inside. Going to be short of the first down to about the 18, make it 17-yard line. And that'll bring up 3rd down and short for the Gladiators.
Momo Kamara in there on the tackle that time for West Forsyth.
Kamara's having a big game out there defensively for the Wolverines here tonight. Just when they needed him to step up, he's been in the mix defensively.
Kevin, if you're Johns Creek, I say give it to your quarterback. Let Sky Overton do what he has not been stopped from doing yet, and that's gain positive yards. He only needs 2.
Crowd starting to make some noise here on the West Forsyth sideline. It's going to be option near side. Overton on the keeper. He runs into trouble. He's not going to have it, Chris. He's going to go down at the 23-yard line and be short of the first down. Great pursuit by most of the defensive unit. And he is going to be short, Chris, by about half a yard.
It may be a little bit too much east-west running that time.
And, Chris, they didn't go play action. They went straight option that time. And the play action has really been working for Overton. That and the read option in the center has worked, but that time just a straight quarterback left side end around.
You don't think they're going for it, do you?
And it looks like they're gonna, Chris. Big moment in the ball game again.
This has to be a ploy.
Now they could try to draw West Forsyth off. Overton in the shotgun. And he wants the football. They're going to go for it here. And Overton pushes the pile.
Close.
This is going to be very close.
Maybe that left foot, right foot mark.
And they are going to give it to him, Chris. Wow.
Gutsy.
Nervous moment there. Gutsy. Great descriptive word. Gutsy. Gutsy call by Coach Mike Cloy.
You know, sometimes you got to roll the dice. The momentum definitely on the side of the Wolverines. Sometimes you do something to kind of throw them off. I'm surprised neither one of the teams called a timeout, especially the defensive team, because they call a timeout. They do not give the Johns Creek time to step up and run that play quickly. Possibly the Gladiators have second thoughts and they end up punting the football.
So new life for Overton and the Gladiators offense. 1st and 10 from their own 25-yard line. They're going to go near side on the give to Solomon. He lowers his head across the 30, knocked it out of bounds at the 35-yard line. That is hard running by Chase Solomon. And he's going to be close to another first down, make it 2nd down and 1.
He followed one of his pulling guards, and once his guard made the initial block, Solomon did the rest. He kind of slivered through a hole and turned a 3 or 4 yard gain into about 9.
And Chris, the feeling you get watching this game is that neither team is intimidated by the other. They feel like they can do whatever they want. Here's Solomon, right side this time, breaking tackles and loose on the edge. Chase Solomon at the 40, knocked out of bounds at the 32. And this is an absolute track meet here, Chris, with these guys breaking out to the corner. Chase Solomon with a big gain, and Johns Creek just like that in threaten mode inside West Forsyth territory.
Yeah, Josh Gordon, the strong safety, came over and had the angle, but wow. Punch, counter punch here, Kevin.
It really, really is, Chris. These guys have an immense amount of speed, an immense amount of talent out there. And you almost know who it's going to, but they just can't stop them. They're daring them out there to stop Solomon, and they just can't do it. 1st down and 10. They're going to say he was out of bounds at the 34-yard line. West Forsyth showing pressure. Overton on the read. He's going to keep it right side. Little twisting move at the 30. He'll have yardage down to about the 26-yard line. Very elusive quarterback when he's on the run.
And Kevin, very impressive by the Gladiators. The momentum definitely on the side of the Wolverines. Down by 7 points. Late in the 3rd quarter already, as we haven't had the ball in the air very, very much. But Johns Creek staying with what they know, keeping the ball on the ground, and thus far being very successful.
And Chris, we've said it a couple times in the broadcast already, these teams absolutely mirror each other in the way they play and their talent. Overton, straight snap, right side, had some penetration there. First man to get a hand on him was number 85, Josh Davis, to slow him down, and going to be very close to a Johns Creek first down. And it will be indicated as such. 1st and 10 inside the 25 for the Gladiators. And we're inside 2 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter, Chris, as you mentioned, a rapidly moving 3rd quarter here. Johns Creek trails 23-16. A big momentum swing and 20 unanswered points by the home West Forsyth Wolverines on homecoming night. And they have once again gotten the crowd back into this thing. 1st and 10. Solomon in motion behind Overton. Thought about pitching. Now he's going to keep it and twist his way down toward the 20-yard line.
Yeah, good decision by the quarterback that time. I don't think it would have been a successful play had he pitched the ball. So what he did is he just took his lumps, fell forward, and got something positive.
One of these teams will leave here tonight with a blemish on the record. Both teams came in 5-0, 2-0 in region play. Both ranked in the top 10. About halfway through the season here, a meeting of a couple of powerhouses, West Forsyth and Johns Creek. 2nd down and 6 for the Johns Creek Gladiators. Overton in the shotgun, gives to Solomon with room in the middle. He'll move the pile inside the 20 to about the 17-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd down and a few. Clock running now, Chris, under 40 seconds and moving. We might get one more play in here before that third quarter whistle.
Quarterback going over, taking his time, talking to his coach, bringing the play back to the huddle.
Now 3rd and 3 now with 18 seconds, and Overton will get another play off before we go to the fourth quarter.
Is it time for play action, Kevin?
Making a lot of noise here on the near side. They go option give, and Solomon doesn't look like he made it, Chris. He needed inside the 15 and did not get there. And that will be the final play of the third quarter. West Forsyth lead 23-16 as the horn sounds. I want to remind all of our football fans that PlayOnSports.com is not only your destination for Friday night football action, but it's also the place for the most comprehensive coverage of high school playoff and championship events in all sports from across the country. PlayOnSports.com. High school sports lives here. We'll take a short break with your score. West Forsyth 23 and Johns Creek 16. We go to the fourth after this. And we are back for the final 12 minutes here at West Forsyth High School, just north of Atlanta. We have got a barn burner for you here on PlayOnSports.com's Friday night game of the week for the Georgia High School Association. The West Forsyth Wolverines with a 23-16 lead over the Johns Creek Gladiators. The Gladiators, big play for them here. 4th down and 1 inside the red zone. Looking to climb back into this one. First play of the fourth quarter. 4th down and 1. Sky Overton under center. Quickly, they try to sneak. Chris, I don't know if he made it.
He got it.
He needed to get inside the 15, and they're going to say he did not make it. Huge play. And it looks like Overton down with a cramp or something with the left leg, Chris.
Looks like he may be trying to stretch it out, nothing more than just a cramp.
And that'll be a timeout for that injury. What a huge moment in this ball game. For the first time tonight, we've seen a weakness on Johns Creek, unable to convert on 4th down and a yard.
And also for the first time tonight, we saw Sky Overton try to go and do something he hasn't done tonight, which is try to take the ball under center. He ran up to the line quickly. The center snapped the ball, and about 3 linebackers met him right at the line. They filled the gaps and did their job, and a huge play for the Wolverine defense.
And it looks like they are working on a cramp for that young man, so a tough break for Overton now. He still has 12 minutes of football left to try to get his team back in it. And that cramp is really working him over. He looks like he's in some discomfort down there. So, Chris, once again, momentum swings back to the home side. This packed grandstand with a lot to cheer about. Defense holds. And good news, Overton is up. And he gets a hand from everybody here at West Forsyth High School. So, Chris, do you take your foot off the pedal now? If you're the Wolverines, you've got 12 minutes and a 7-point lead.
No, absolutely not. You've got to put more points on the board, only up by 7, an entire quarter remaining to play. And Johns Creek, even though they were stopped there on 4th down, they showed the ability to move the ball and give themselves the opportunity to put the ball in the end zone. I say West Forsyth really comes out and tries to pound this ball again.
So Erdely goes back to work, rolling far side, looking for the corner. And he's just going to throw that one away. A good decision there by A.J. Erdely. Not much happening. Receiver was not open, and he was about to be out of bounds for a loss. A nice job there.
Yeah, take what you've got. If you don't have anything, get rid of the
And they're going to say intentional grounding, Chris.
Looks like he had a receiver there about 4 yards in front of where the ball fell.
It sure did look like he threw it at the feet of the intended receiver, so that is going to cost him. not only some yardage, but that's also loss of down on intentional grounding.
Interesting.
So that's a big break for Johns Creek. Tough call to take right there. Erdely was on the run, well outside the tackle box. Looked like he had a receiver about 8 yards down the field. And he threw it right towards his feet intentionally instead of throwing it into the bench. And that will be intentional grounding. And obviously the West Forsyth faithful not happy with that. That is loss of down. So you march it back 10, and it's second down. A big break for the Gladiators defense here. They need something good to happen. They trail 23-16, just underway fourth quarter.
And all of a sudden your quarterback is shadowing the goal line.
Erdely's heels just outside his own end zone. They're going to give it near side to O'Brien. He's got a hole. Cuts back inside, and now he's loose. It's going to be a foot race to the end zone. 2 men to beat. A straight arm not going to work, and he's going to go down at the 23-yard line. But a huge pickup, Chris, and that is exactly what Johns Creek was doing to West Forsyth in the first half. And now West Forsyth giving them a little of their own medicine.
And Kevin, last quarter, it was the big tight end, Bartholomew, and this time it was the sophomore.
First down and 10 at the 23-yard line of Johns Creek. Erdely, play action. Now wants to throw. He's in trouble in the pocket, looking for space. Jukes a tackler at the 20. Now he's loose down the sideline, and he's going to get knocked out of bounds, and they're going to tack on 10 more, or at least half the distance for a late hit out of bounds. Everything going West Forsyth's way right now.
You blink and you miss a play, 50-plus yards. I tell you what, this Wolverine offense is really, really clicking right now.
Personal foul, late hit out of bounds is the call. That'll be half the distance, so it'll be first and goal for West Forsyth, looking to pad that 23-16 lead.
Well, we mentioned it, Kevin, a team coming into this game averaging over 450 yards of total offense and over 260 on the ground.
And now we see why.
Not hurting their offensive stats at all tonight.
So the half the distance walk-off will put the ball on the 5-yard line. 11:20 to play in the football game. A.J. Erdely and the West Forsyth Wolverines looking to get more. They go play action to O'Brien. Erdely keeps it, and he may fall forward for one and avoid the loss there at the 6-yard line. Good penetration there by the defense. Not much happening on the play action give.
Zach Disher on the tackle that time for Johns Creek.
Second down and goal from the 6-yard line. Gonna look to the outside, and that is wide open all day long. Touchdown, Jake Wazorek. From 6 yards out, A.J. Erdely hits him. Chris, looked like a blown assignment out there. Wazorek could have just walked in and just about did on the receiving end of that touchdown.
Yeah, your second option on offense, a guy who's responsible for 4 touchdowns last week, goes in motion and no one picks him up. Definitely someone missed an assignment.
That makes it 29-16, awaiting the point after by Timmy Hartshorn. Try to make it 30. Very much a tale of two halves here tonight. Johns Creek looked to be in control for most of the first half. They took a lead into the halftime locker room, but it has been all West Forsyth since. The snap, the set, the kick are all good, and West Forsyth pads its lead. So much for taking your foot off the gas, Chris. 30-16, West Forsyth jump out front by 14.
And Kevin, it all started with that interception late in the first half.
When Johns Creek let West Forsyth back into the game.
Yeah, Johns Creek had got themselves a little bit of room, and they were going for it. And as we said, we had it mixed up. We were thinking they may be getting a little bit greedy. As it turns out, Johns Creek realized that West Forsyth was going to get the ball to start the second half. So maybe they were going to try to sneak up and at least put 3 on the board and try to extend the lead a little bit. The big interception, West Forsyth put the ball in late in the first half and has not turned back since. 27 unanswered points.
27 unanswered points is the story of this ball game. Talk about not getting down on yourself after a couple of mistakes. They could have hung their heads on that initial drive when they got the interception. Looked like they were going in to tie the ball game. They hung with it, stayed with what they are and who they are. And right now, as Chris said, 27 unanswered points in Johns Creek, looking for answers. Knocked out at the 13-yard line. Austin Pack there. I was distracted. Pack looked like he stepped out of bounds and it came back in and got that football. I thought he might have been an illegal touch there.
And the ball was kind of doing strange things. It was a knuckleball kick, and it looked like it was going to bounce out of bounds. It took a bounce towards the sideline and then went straight up in the air. And I'm not sure if the receiver had not let that ball bounce one more time, it would have went out of bounds, and that would have given Johns Creek a lot better field position.
As it stands, they go to work from their 14, trailing 30-16 now. Time for Sky Overton and that high-powered Gladiator offense to get back to work and see if they can't draw themselves back into this thing. 10:50 to play in the ball game. Overton play action, looking now, firing back across the field. Wide open is Solomon at the 25. And a nice open field tackle out there at the 36-yard line. That looked like it could have gone for a lot more. Jacob Hill on the tackle. A nice job out there on the corner. One-on-one open field tackle, Chris. That is not easy to do with somebody like Solomon with that breakaway speed.
And in a situation similar to last time when Wazorek had the open touchdown, Hill, this kid's been your main weapon. Somebody's got to pick him up.
So they go to work at their own 37, 38-yard line now. Just under 10.5 minutes to play. Overton from the shotgun. They're going to toss near side to Solomon. Gets a block, spins off a tackler, and he'll drag a couple more tacklers across the 40 to about the 41-yard line. Gain of 3 on the play. 2nd down and 7 coming up. Clock will continue to run. And if that clock is ticking, it is on the side of the Wolverines right now. They enjoy that 14-point lead after 27 unanswered points. A huge turn of events here on homecoming night for West Forsyth.
This Wolverine ball club ranked as the 5th best team in 6A in the entire state of Georgia, and they're showing it right now.
Overton out of the shotgun with plenty of time to throw, and he finds a man wide open across the middle, Ben Deck. And he's got plenty of room across the 40 to about the 39-yard line. First time they've used Ben Deck, senior wideout.
Kevin, the Wolverine defense may be getting a little bit conservative here.
It's hard to tell when you go up against somebody like Overton and this offense, Chris. The defense really, it can make a defense look bad. It just can, and that same could be said for A.J. Erdely and the West Forsyth offense. 1st and 10 just inside the Wolverine 40. Going to run motion, and an inside shovel pass. Andrew Sambalon. Looks like he's going to have 1st down yardage to about the 25.
Alec Coburn on the tackle that time.
Little shovel pass. First time we've seen that tonight. Overton and that offense do a nice job of mixing it up. We see a lot of read option. Chris, we talked a little bit about these guys maybe running a wing T variety type of offense here. We've seen a little of everything out of the backfield here tonight. And right now they need some points. Trailing by 14, 9 minutes to play in the ball game. Solomon joins Overton in the backfield. On 1st and 10, a high snap, trouble for Overton. He can't handle it, and he is going to go down hard in the arms of number 85, Josh Davis. He's been in the backfield all night long, Chris.
Yeah, Davis doing a really, really good job and taking advantage of that muffed snap.
That ball looked like it almost hit Overton in the face, and that screwed up the timing between he and Solomon. And the clock will continue to run. 8.5 minutes to play. 2nd down and 15 from the 30. Both of these teams fighting, struggling to stay undefeated on the season. Here's Overton. Blitz right up the middle. He steps past it. And a little flick forward looking for Ben Deck. And that probably was the best thing that could have happened there, Chris. That was going nowhere.
Yeah, some great pressure coming up the middle from number 33. That was a...
Connor Vandenbos, the man with the big interception in the first half. So he's having himself a whale of a game out there as well, number 33.
A little bit of a stall with this Johns Creek offense. They were moving that ball very, very effectively, and then all of a sudden 2 quick plays, 1 for negative yardage, and now a huge 3rd and 15 conversion attempt for the Gladiators.
3rd down, 15 from the 30. Overton from the shotgun with time. Now he's going to have to buy himself a yard of space, throwing into the end zone, and overthrows his intended receiver. Incomplete. Looking for number 25 in the end zone. Michael Solomon, the intended receiver. And that'll be 4th down and 15, Chris.
Well, a field goal doesn't help.
Trailing by 14, 30-16. And it looks like Overton will trot back to the huddle with something in mind from Coach Mike Cloy here on 4th down and 15. And we've seen how explosive both offenses can be, Chris. Not a surprising situation here. They've shown tonight that they're capable of huge plays on offense, but none bigger than this one. 4th down and 15, trying to stay in this ball game.
You know, we were in a similar situation in the first half when we had an interference call.
Empty backfield. Now we have a flag in the backfield. Overton looking for somewhere to run. In trouble. Heaves it up for grabs in the middle of the field. It's intercepted at the 14. We still have a flag to sort out, which, Chris, I'm going to think would be a hold.
Yeah, to be out in the area of a penalty against the offense.
Overton just scrambling back there, trying to find a patch of space to set his feet. It is going to be holding against Johns Creek. That is declined, of course. And 1st down, West Forsyth. It almost would have been better, Chris, for that defender to just knock that one down and save about 15 yards of real estate. But nonetheless, West Forsyth go back to work. So the defense stands tall now. And all of a sudden, Johns Creek's Gladiators offense sputtering.
Well, West Forsyth's offense has really opened up here in the second half, and 15 yards back may just mean a little bit more time for West Forsyth to run more time off the clock.
They go to Wazorek another time near side. It's going to be knocked out of bounds after a short gain there.
I think they said his forward progress stopped inbound, so the clock is still running.
A big break there for West Forsyth as they keep that clock ticking now. 7.5 minutes to play. Go to Wazorek again, the far side this time. And that's a big, hard tackle there. Nice job by Tommy Welsh. And we have a flag down on the play. That's going to be holding against West Forsyth. So getting a little sloppy here late in this one. Johns Creek trailing 30-16. Remember, it was 16-10 at halftime. It has been 27 unanswered points by the Wolverines here tonight, looking to stay undefeated and put the first blemish on the record of their rivals, Johns Creek, on homecoming night here at West Forsyth. Looking to cap the celebration, but right now they find themselves literally in the shadow of their own goalpost. 2nd down and what looks to be about 22. Quarterback draw this time. Erdely squirts through to about the 10-yard line. Looks like he had more, a little frustrated there. I think a shoestring tackle saved a big gain.
Looked like he may have tripped over his own man, because he did have a huge hole.
Well, 3rd down and 16 coming up from the 9. Once again, they go no huddle. Erdely from the shotgun, Wazorek in motion. And Erdely looking for him. He's loose on the far sideline. He's got a 1st down at the 30 and more. And a nice ankle tackle out at the 37-yard line. And West Forsyth gets out of trouble all the way out to their own 37. A nice job there. They ran Wazorek in motion behind the formation, Chris. Nobody picked him up. And Erdely drilled it to him on that far sideline. That's the one thing we really haven't seen showcased tonight is the big arms on both of our quarterbacks here tonight has really been pretty much showcasing the legs.
And Kevin, I'll tell you, there sure are some pretty prominent superstars that are getting very, very open on both sides of the field.
Well, this has been an offensive exhibition here by both sides. The first half really belonged to Johns Creek. If you want to see which way the run of play went, it was really all Johns Creek in the first half until the big interception at the end of the second quarter, and since then it has been all Wolverines to this point. O'Brien gets the give. He's going to have forward progress probably to the 40 before he's driven back. Make that Porter on the carry.
No need to be in any hurry if you're the Wolverines. Very smart, taking time off the clock, making substitutions.
But that was O'Brien on the carry. Porter checks in now, number 21. 2nd and 7 from the 40. Clock continues to run. Just under 6 minutes to play in this one. From under center, the give is to Wyzorek, and he's got room, and now he's going to sprint down the far sideline. A foot race to the cone, and he's going to score. Touchdown, Wolverines.
Tell you what, there was one block on the outside. One great block on the outside.
And Chris, it happened so fast. Calling it quick strike is almost an understatement.
Cody Mixon, one of the offensive guards on the outside, laid a great block, and Wyzorek did the rest.
Jake Wyzorek, how about that, Chris? When he turned that corner, you could see he had his head up like a sprinter, and he was gone. Timmy Hartshorn comes in to try to make it 37-16. And remember, Chris, West Forsyth just a few moments ago was in the shadow of their own end zone, and they come all the way back and put hopefully 7 on the board here if Hartshorn can convert. And a very stunned Johns Creek side of the football field starting to head for the exits. Hartshorn for the extra point. The snap, the set, and the kick are all good. With 5:40 to play in the ball game, it is now West Forsyth 37 and Johns Creek 16. What an amazing turn of events here tonight, Chris. The switch absolutely flipped off for Johns Creek and West Forsyth. Somebody poked the bear, partner, and it really came with a vengeance here.
And, you know, in the pregame we talked about a couple of weapons for West Forsyth. Of course, Erdely was going to be the main guy. We also talked about Wyzorek. Wyzorek 2 weeks ago responsible for 4 touchdowns, as was Erdely, and we thought that would be the 1-2 punch, and those are the 2 guys that really brought West Forsyth back, feeding off the big interception. I keep talking about that big interception right there at the end of the first half, and that is what kind of made Johns Creek stall. West Forsyth got the ball, put the ball back in the end zone to only be down by 6 going into the half, and then West Forsyth absolutely cranked things up in the second half.
A big mistake which opened the door that Johns Creek has not been able to close. It has been all West Forsyth offense since that interception, and a huge interception it was by Connor Vandenbos. So now it is officially panic time for Johns Creek. They have got to go to work in a hurry. They've shown that they're capable of it, Chris, but only 5:40 remaining. And they trail by 21. A big night for the West Forsyth faithful here on homecoming night. The team has delivered. And here's that little sand wedge to about the 25-yard line.
Caught by the quarterback.
Nice job there by grabbing that thing. Braden Fortin.
Oh, Braden Fortin, actually. Yeah.
I know, partner. Things are happening so fast out there, it's hard to keep up.
Yeah, it's just a blur. It's amazing what's happened here.
So Johns Creek, trailing by 3 touchdowns, goes to work at their own 36-yard line. And right now, just fundamental defense by West Forsyth gets you home and keeps you undefeated. Here is Overton now. Just 3-man rush by West Forsyth. They're going to slip it outside to Ben Deck, and he is going to be kept in bounds. Nice job there. He got knocked down, thought he was going to go out of bounds, but the clock will continue to run out to about the 39-yard line. 2nd down and about 7.
Tackle made by senior Jacob Hill. Hill's had a solid ball game tonight, Kevin. We're
a lot of standout performances here tonight on the defensive side for West Forsyth. A great job by those guys to stay in the football game. Here's Overton firing outside to Solomon. catches it and then loses the handle, and that cost him a first down, Chris. He was just about to make a first down. He lost the handle, had to go back and fetch the football, and it cost him about 2 yards. So instead of a first down, stopping the clock and moving the chains, Johns Creek has got to find a way to pick up 2 more and get that first down.
He was very fortunate that the ball bounced and he was able to regain as quickly as he did.
3rd down and 2. The clock continues to run. 4:40 to play in the football game. Overton with time, just a 3-man rush by West Forsyth. Overton surveys, looks downfield, and that is going to fall incomplete. Looking for number 21, Todd Blackwell. And he was unable to make the catch. A little underthrow by Overton. So that's 4th down now, Chris, and a couple.
Well, it may not be a bad idea for them to use their athletic quarterback just to get 2 yards and stop the clock and set their offense up again.
They cannot afford to give the football up anymore tonight. They need 3 touchdowns to get back in this thing. 3-man rush by West Forsyth. Plenty of time for Overton, and he'll have the first down to the outside. That is Braden Fortin on the receiving end, just across midfield, and that will stop the clock and move the chains. 4.5 minutes to play. West Forsyth choosing to rush 3 and drop 8, Chris. And that is going to give Overton time to look, but he's really going to have to try to find a hole or a window to drop that football in there. 3 men with their hand on the ground coming after Overton. Plenty of time. Now he's going to have to look for room, and he scrambles out to the far sideline, close to a first down. Big pressure coming from behind. Once again, Brett Anderson. We've called his name a few times here tonight, Chris. One of the defensive standouts for the Wolverines. And that'll stop the clock at 4:12.
Overton did do a good job of getting out of bounds.
And that will be 2nd down and about a yard. Five wide out set, 3 men on the front for the West Forsyth defense. Now looks like they're going to come pressure on the outside. Overton fires away from that. Ball's tipped in the air and incomplete. Just about intercepted there. Nice job on the defensive end. So again, Johns Creek finding themselves in a must-have situation. 3rd down and 1.
That was Ballou that made that play last time.
4:07 remaining in the game. Once again, from the shotgun, here is Overton. Now he's got to run for his life on the near sideline. 5 men after him, and he runs into a sandwich there at the 34-yard line. First down and 10 for Johns Creek. The clock will start. 3:59. Overton from the shotgun. Going to go quickly outside, dumps it off. Has room down to the 25-yard line. Austin Pack on the receiving end. Close to another Johns Creek first down, but Chris, they need more than that at this point in time. They've got to have big chunks of yardage, and they've got to have points, trailing by 3 touchdowns.
Very impressive performance by this West Forsyth offense. And let's give credit to the defense. The defense has shut down Johns Creek's offense here in the second half. 2nd down and 3. Overton to throw another time, looking into the end zone, and he's going to underthrow that one. That one's going to be short-hopped and incomplete. Todd Blackwell, the intended receiver. So all of a sudden, Overton having trouble hitting the target, Chris. That's a couple of passes underthrown that he really had to have. And it'll be 3rd down and 3 for Johns Creek. And the Wolverines doing a good job of substituting, trying to keep fresh legs in on the defensive side for every play. And we're going to have a timeout on the field. And that will be called by the West Forsyth defense. So those guys are going to take a break and come and chat with Frank Hepler for the final 3:17 and talk about strategy to try to wrap this one up, Chris. It looks like it might be out of reach right now for Johns Creek, but they've got to stay fundamental. We've seen teams fold in the last couple of minutes and make some mistakes that make it interesting. But with a 3-touchdown cushion right here, West Forsyth fundamental football gets them to the house. And, you want to win every ball game, and you want to put yourself in the best position to make the playoffs and make the biggest run that you can in the playoffs. Both teams, an important game tonight, but Kevin, it may have been a little bit more important for Johns Creek. Providing this score stays the way it is and West Forsyth does go on to the victory, next week it's sort of a tale of two different directions for both teams. West Forsyth going up against North Forsyth, and North Forsyth is one of those teams that's in the region, and they currently
they're 0-2, Chris.
They're 0-2 in the region.
Yeah.
And Johns Creek goes up against Lambert. Lambert is the other team that's tied at the top of the division with these two teams, and Lambert could easily be tied with West Forsyth if they win, which could put Lambert and West Forsyth up there for first place, or they could have a loss if they lose tonight, and then Johns Creek and Lambert would have a very, very important game to try to see who could slide into that second position in Region 6A.
So Johns Creek looking to prevent being on the outside looking in, and that's going to be intercepted. Overton overthrew his intended receiver, and that is picked off, and there is that man again, Chris. That is Hunter Ballou, the nephew of the Georgia great Buck Ballou, and that will probably do it for the Johns Creek hopes here tonight. Overton just missed his intended receiver. He was looking for number 7 out there, Chase Solomon, and just overthrew him. Solomon broke off the pattern, and Ballou was waiting right there at the 8-yard line with an easy pick. All he had to do was keep 1 foot in bounds, and he had the interception.
Kevin, Johns Creek's offense showing that they're not really suited for the comeback as far as trying to come down from 3 touchdowns. I don't think the first option is going to be to throw the football, and that's what they have to do to try to get back in the game, and it's just not working right now.
And obviously West Forsyth will keep it on the ground. I would be very shocked if we saw another ball in the air tonight, Chris, which was, as we've really documented pretty completely here tonight, the big mistake of the football game was Sky Overton putting that ball in the air, looking for Chase Solomon and getting it picked off with that great interception.
You know, you're down by 3 touchdowns, but you got three timeouts on the board. They're not going to do you any good if you tuck them in and put them in your back pocket and take them into the locker room with a loss. Call a timeout. Anything's possible.
2:40 to play. They go to Wyzorek on the right side, the speedster, and he is one shoestring away from another big run, very close to a first down. And it looks like it will be first down yardage for Wyzorek, and that will stop the clock momentarily as they move the chains for the Wolverines.
Kevin, we've seen some impressive performances this year. We've seen a very impressive Gainesville team. We've seen a very impressive Milton team. But I tell you what, the 1-2 punch of Erdely and Wyzorek, as good as anybody we've seen this season, Kevin.
I'd have to agree with you. They're going to keep it on the ground. This time they go with Porter, and he was knocked down just across the 20-yard line after a gain of about 2. Now, Chris, we've seen some pretty stout defenses so far this year, too, and I think probably what we're missing here tonight is that big, imposing signature defense of some of the clubs that we've seen already in 2012. You've got the Gainesville defense with that huge front line. You've got the Buford Wolves, another big defensive line. Milton, very stout. We saw Stevenson a couple of weeks ago that were absolutely loaded up front. So we're seeing two different personalities of teams here. This is more of a track meet compared to some of the ground and pound, hit you in the mouth games that we have also seen earlier in the season.
Well, Johns Creek kind of jumped on the Wolverine defense early, and then once they regained their composure, they really, really did a good job of shutting down the Gladiators here in the second half.
That play was doomed from the start. Illegal motion, 2 men in motion at the same time. They just kind of ran through the motions there, and that will be against West Forsyth with 1:25 to play in this one. So a very successful homecoming effort here tonight. Looked like it was a little bit in question as we headed toward halftime, but the West Forsyth Wolverines stood tall against a big challenge and a big emotional charge by the Johns Creek Gladiators to open this thing up. But they have defended home turf here tonight very well, and it looks like they're going to take a very convincing win into the homecoming celebrations this weekend.
And as I mentioned, next week, West Forsyth has North Forsyth on the docket, where Johns Creek goes up against another one of the teams that's battling for the top spot, and that's Lambert out of Suwanee.
And and if there's good news in that, Chris, that will be Johns Creek hosting the Lambert Longhorns at their own place, so that might be the edge they're looking for. Keep it on the ground again, as you thought they might. Trevor O'Brien with the carry across the 25 to about the 27. The clock will continue to run. It's under 1 minute to play in this contest. And that has pretty much sent most of the Johns Creek faithful toward the exits.
34
and Erdely,
unanswered points.
And that's going to be the headline, Chris. I mean, they really rallied and then never looked back once they got into this ball game. So Erdely's going to take all the time he can might even take a penalty here as the clock runs under 30 seconds. And that's what they will do. They'll take the 5-yard penalty. And Frank Hepler wants to talk to his offensive unit.
Is this the first time tonight we're going to see the West Forsyth punter?
He will bring the offensive unit off the field, as a matter of fact. And it's first punt of the night for West Forsyth. That'll trot Hampton McConnell out onto the field. 26.1 seconds until what would be, I'm sure, a very spirited celebration. Chris, you see some of the homecoming queens walking onto the track there as they get ready to have their homecoming celebration post-game instead of halftime here tonight. We had great demonstrations by both bands at halftime, and the festivities will continue here with homecoming at the conclusion of this one. After a brief conversation, the officials will wind the clock, and we are set to go. Little high knuckler is going to be fair caught and muffed back at the 36-yard line and then pounced upon. Very tough ball to field, Chris. That thing was kind of a wobbly knuckler, and they were able to pounce on it back. It looked like Ben Deck was the first man to get it and fall on that grenade. 18 seconds left in this one, and merely a formality now for Johns Creek.
Kevin, I'm impressed. You came in thinking it was going to be a big offensive game, two teams averaging well over 30 points a game. And at halftime, you were thinking, well, you know, it'll be close. Johns Creek, West Forsyth made it close going into halftime, but the Wolverines really opened it up here in the second half and have really dominated on the offensive side and the defensive side of the football.
Last resort mode for Overton now. He's going to heave this thing as far as he can down toward the 20-yard line, and it's caught. A nice job there. A reception made at the 18-yard line, and he manages to pick up Braden Fortin down there.
Pretty impressive catch by the young kid.
Yeah, a little jump on. He's not the tallest player out there. Just went up and got it. And Johns Creek's going to take a timeout with 8.6. So, Chris, we talked about in the first half that West Forsyth didn't flinch when Johns Creek came out with all that emotion and that momentum. It looks like Johns Creek may have flinched just a bit when they realized that West Forsyth wasn't going to go away, and they were determined to stay in this ball game.
It was a situation where, you know what, we better get them while they're down, because you know they're going to bring something. They're good, too good of a team, taking nothing away from Johns Creek. Johns Creek came in with the game plan, and it worked for about a quarter and a half. But just the game turned as so many games turn off of a turnover. And, you know, I mentioned it, and I've said it over and over, probably in my sleep, turnovers are only as good as what you do with them. And West Forsyth did exactly what they needed to do with that turnover right at the end of the first half and have done nothing but steamroll ever since.
They're almost just kind of reinvigorated their belief in themselves when they got into the end zone there. With 8 seconds left, Overton going to throw, looking for Austin Pack and finding him. And Pack makes it down to about the 1-yard line. And the horn will sound. Johns Creek will not have a chance to put any more points on the board, and that will do it. West Forsyth stays undefeated and moves to 6-0, 3-0 in region play as they defeat the Johns Creek Gladiators by the score of 37-16 here at West Forsyth. We'll be back in just a moment with the post-game show, but first I want to remind everybody that Playon Sports is on Facebook and Twitter, giving you news and information and links to great highlights. You can follow us at Playon Sports on both Facebook and Twitter anytime. You can also access thousands of live and on-demand games on YouTube at youtube.com/PlayOnNetwork. Keep up with all the high school action every week from your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. We'll be back with a post-game show in just a minute from West Forsyth, where the Wolverines have defeated the Gladiators 37-16. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to PlayOnSports.com's post-game show here at West Forsyth High School. The game of the week has seen the West Forsyth Wolverines defeat the Johns Creek Gladiators 37-16. Kevin Beck along with Chris King, Jason our producer, Sherry on the camera for our post-game show. And Chris, really a tale of two halves here tonight. When one team punched the other team in the mouth, one team didn't blink, and that team tonight was West Forsyth. They did not blink. They were down early. A big emotional run by Johns Creek to start this thing. But a key interception by Connor Vanden Bosch at the end of the second quarter turned this game around.
And, we have to pick a player of the game. Sometimes we pick a unit, a defense or an offense or a special teams player, a kicker. And I believe we decided at the break that Connor is going to get our vote for the player of the game because his interception essentially kick-started the comeback and the subsequent destruction, I guess you can say, that came in the hands of the West Forsyth Wolverines. And Kevin, we were able to get a score on the Lambert Centennial game, a surprising Centennial team going in 0-2 against Lambert, who was tied at the top with these two teams. Centennial pulls off the upset 27-6. So what that means is, at least for a week, West Forsyth alone at the top of 6A, and a very, very important game next week between a 2-1 Johns Creek team and now a 2-1 Lambert team. Interesting how things shuffle just after 1 week.
And how big is that, Chris, that next week you would think that West Forsyth can handle North Forsyth fairly handle. You would think. But now with Lambert falling to Centennial, they go to Johns Creek and have to try to regroup. So both the teams next week, Johns Creek and Lambert, have got to try to recover from fairly surprising results. I think most people would agree. So that really sets up some big action and some big drama in this region next week. And again, Chris, we are past the halfway mark in the season right now. It is time to position yourself for the playoffs, and neither of these teams, Lambert or Johns Creek, could afford this loss tonight. So West Forsyth in the driver's seat, and almost a two-game swing if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, sometimes it's not how many games you win. Well, I mean, if you win all your games, it doesn't matter. Sometimes it's not how many games you win. It's which games you win. So many teams play the first 2 or 3 games of the season against non-region opponents to kind of fine-tune things, and they'll play tougher non-region opponents. They'll get into some of the kickoff classics or something like that just to see how they fare against other teams. Gainesville and Buford, a good example. Two powerhouses coming from different conferences, playing to kind of see how they gauge against each other. But once the region play starts, that's when it's important, and that's what right now is where West Forsyth is getting their wins and building the momentum as they try to go into the home stretch here in Region 6A.
Big surprise here tonight that Johns Creek absolutely went in the tank offensively after what they showed to seemingly have in the first half. But Connor Vanden Bosch is our player of the game tonight, Chris. Not just any interception, a diving interception that really turned the whole momentum of this football game. So congratulations to Connor Vanden Bosch, the 6'1", 200-pound senior defensive back. He is our PlayOnSports.com player of the game here tonight. Congratulations to him and the West Forsyth Wolverines here on homecoming night. They take care of business on crosstown rivals Johns Creek, and the Gladiators go home with their first loss of the season, 37-16. 27 unanswered points by the Wolverines. A very, very impressive performance. So that'll do it from West Forsyth High School here tonight as homecoming activities begin. A great night for all this happening and a great atmosphere, as always, on a Friday night on PlayOnSports.com. We are so glad you joined us here tonight, and we look forward to you guys joining us next week and every week on PlayOnSports.com for Georgia High School Association football. So for my partner, Chris King, my producer, Jason, Sherry on the camera tonight doing a wonderful job, this is Kevin Beck. We look forward to seeing you again next week on PlayOnSports.com. Check us out on YouTube, PlayOnSports.com. And you can find us at /Playon Network. Very easy. Pick your favorite game and watch all of the action. So once again, from West Forsyth High School, it's 37-16. The Wolverines take care of business. For everyone here, this is Kevin Beck. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
4th and 10 from the 41-yard line for St. Augustine. Kennedy dropping back to pass. Looking left. Firing, incomplete, intended for Noland. No penalty flags on the field. Mar Vista will take over on downs, and Jordan Lertie